Hi, this is Ian. Welcome to the first tutorial of the series where we're going to be talking about the fundamentals and the intro to Adobe Animate. So today I'm using Adobe Animate 2023, and you'll be prompted when you open up to this screen right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Create New. And you'll see all these different document options. So basically, if you're making like social media posts, games, education, these are more for specific purposes, but since we're just starting out, we're just going to go with a normal 1920 by 1080 full HD. You can also press it on the screen beforehand. So you're prompted to this interface, and right here on your left side of the screen, it may be different for you depending on how your workspace is set up. This is where your toolbar is going to be. This is where all the tools you'll be using for your animation. So this is your selection tool. So that's where you'll be adjusting lines, your free transform tool, and your lasso tool. And let me give you a little rundown of how to understand the tools. So I'm just going to take the brush tool, which is right here, classic brush tool. So let's say I'm just going to draw a line, simple line. And I'm using a drawing tablet. You can also use a mouse as well. And basically your selection tool will be adjusting the line weight. You can also click it as a whole and drag it. And then to delete, I just press the delete key or the backspace key. And your transform tool right here is going to adjust the scaling. So the distortion, how long you want it. You can even adjust kind of the skewing, which is this right here. So if you want to stretch it a little bit in a certain way, you can. And also, let me tell you this. This is what you call the origin. So depending on where you place this will determine where the transform is going to be. So if I want to put it right here, this is what's going to happen. If I put it right here, this is going to happen. So depending on where that is, that's what's going to determine where your transform origin is going to start. So I'm going to delete this. This is where your shape tool, your line tool is. This is where your pen tool, I'll say that for another video. This is where your text is going to be. So if you want to type in anything, right here you can. This is your paint bucket tool, and then this, so if you want to fill in sort of a color, you can. This is your eyedropper tool, so if you want to, let's say you're drawing something and you don't remember what color you used, you can just always click on the eyedropper tool, and let's say you use that, and boom, there's your color. And you're probably wondering, what is that lock icon? You don't want that sometimes, so just click off of that and then you're back to normal. Okay, this is your dragging tool, so drag the interface, zoom in. So if you want to zoom into something, and if you're like, oh, I need to zoom out, you can either press show frame, or you can press control or command plus. So command plus for Mac and control plus for Windows, and it could be different depending on what computer you're using. Okay, this is where your colors are going to be. Well, one of the places your colors are going to be. So you can either choose from this right here, or if you're looking for a specific color like a skin tone or something, you can click on this little color wheel, and you can change your shading tone and whatever you preferences. You have these little options. It depends to your liking of what you prefer to see, but I usually stick to this this value right here because it's easier for me to navigate, and it may be easier for you as well. Okay, and this second one is for your outline. So by that, not your drawing outline, but let's say I'm using this tool, and let's change it. Let's say I change this to a cyan color. This is what's going to happen. If I change it to black, this is going to happen. If you're drawing, use this. Use this part right here. And you're probably wondering, you see this kind of this sort of tapered effect? Well, this is because I'm using pen pressure settings. If you do not have a tablet, you'll probably get something like this. And to adjust sizes, you go to where it says properties. If you don't see it, go to window, and then where properties is, click on that, and you may pop up here, or you can also drag it to this side right here. And this is where you can control your size of your brush, your smoothing, which means how smooth. So if you turn it all the way down, it's gonna, let me turn it down a little bit. It's gonna be like this. Now, but if you turn it all the way up to smoothing to 100, it's gonna be super smooth, super smooth. Okay. So we're over here. This is where your library is going to be. So if you're importing images or you're importing different audio, or it's going to pop up on here. This is where another place where you can find your color. Assets. This is something I'll talk about in a different video. Where basically you can change, different characters, and you can add different like things you can swap in drag and drop, so you don't have to redraw it again. And let's see here. So let's say I have a shape. So I'm just gonna go to oval, or O, the letter O if you want to do a shortcut. Let's say I just want to draw a circle, right? Now, when you are working with shapes or drawings, make sure so you won't have this little dotted line where all these dots are. Make sure you go to here where it says modify, convert to symbol. Where it says type, you're given like 3 options. You have button, graphic, and movie clip. A movie clip is when you have a option to have blurring effect, highlights, different effects. However, if you are trying to change like position, so let's say I'm drawing a hand and I want to like draw multiple hands, well, I can't change out the hands if I put it under movie clip. And if I do movie clip, you see all these options right here. So you'll have brightness, tint, and also where filters are. Let's say I want to add like a blur, or if I want to add a let's see here, delete that, a glow effect. Also add a gradient, which is a little bit different. We'll talk about it in a different video. You're just given all these options, and then if you want to change this to graphic, go here to graphic. And this is good if you want to do animation changes. So let's say you're drawing like several mouth positions, or several mouth drawings, or several hand drawings, or even arm drawings. What's good about graphic is that you can change it out different drawings without having to redraw the same thing over and over again, unless you're doing hand drawn animation. And to see your frames, so let's click this, go to window, and then we're going to go to frame picker right here. Make sure that this is converted to graphic. See where it says frame picker. So let's say I'm drawing multiple drawings in there. So I'm going to click on this twice. And let's say I'm drawing this, and this. It's going to pop up over here. Another thing I want to talk about is your timeline. This is where all of your frames and animation is going to be right here. So where this plus symbol is, this is where your layers are going to be. So if you're having multiple like body parts or multiple drawings, you'll make sure you to use layers, and it's recommended so that way you're not editing too much on one layer, because that can be really problematic if you're doing advanced animation. This is where your camera is going to be. So it's going to create a camera layer, and that way you can move it however you want to. You can zoom in, rotate it, the whole thing. And to extend the frames, you can either select, and you can either press, if your your options are on for your keyboard, you can press F5. If you want to insert frames, press F6. But the easiest way to do this, rather than remembering all those commands, is going here where those little options are. It says you can either press insert keyframe, so that'll be your first keyframe. That means if you're like wanting this to move a little bit, let me just get this is what's going to happen. But if you're just trying to extend the frame rate so you can at least have some playback, right here where it says insert frame, now you have more space. So if you need to add more, you can. Excuse me. And to enter a blank keyframe, so let's say I want to draw a new circle, I can just press this and then add something, and there you go. And I'll talk about animation process, the more of the animation process in a different video. But when you look up here, you'll see these options on insert classic tween motion tween. What that means is if I have this as a graphic, so I'm gonna modify, I think this is already a graphic. Okay, delete this. So let's say I want this to move. Okay, let's say I want this to move, and nothing is happening right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to frame 5, and right here where it says insert keyframe, then I'm going to say on frame 30 I'm going to do another one, and I'm just going to do this. So this is kind of choppy, you know. Of course there's manual ways to do this. You know, you can either just move and then, but for this, to know about your classic tween, is a classic tween is it fills in automatically every tween in order for it to move in that direction. So if I do press this, this is what's going to happen. A little glitch there. And a motion tween's a little bit different. I mean, to remove a classic tween is just go here, remove classic tween. A motion tween is a little bit different, and it basically is saying if you want to add like different effects. It's a little more of a complex classic tween, but we won't be going into that today. It's a little bit more classic, and there are other videos that talk about it, but today I'm just going to be showing you the basics of this timeline. So we went over our timeline, and another thing is onion skinning. So what is onion skinning? So basically when you think about animation, onion skinning is when a previous frame needs to be shown when animating the next frame. So if I'm moving this, onion skinning is going to show the previous frame. This will be helpful if you're drawing over and over again. This will be very helpful for you. Okay, so this is all for this video, and in the next one we will talk about creating your first character in Animate.